Alright, today we're going to look at the Pinty 2MOA Tactical Reflex sight. This is something I got off of Amazon. When you go and buy a really neat, cool gun that doesn't have a sight, you want to get something. And of course I go to Amazon and get something that is not that expensive. It comes in a nice hard plastic box. There's the sight, and I guess underneath this, yes, instructions, the battery, and a cloth. That's about it. Okay, let's put this all back. Okay, so you get a owner's manual, 4 pages in micro print. Most of this should be self-explanatory. Take it out of the plastic wrap, and it's your basic sight here. Alright, let's skip over everything. Basically, it's the standard Chinese style sights or scopes. And you know, you got your lens caps on there, which that's about ready to fall off. And you would have, this is your windage dial, your elevation dial. This dial here covers the different things, the dot, circle with a dot, cross hairs with a dot, cross hairs, circle with a dot. And then your battery compartments up top, and your standard red, green, and different things. So when I was going over this, I noticed that when you turned it on, the dots and that were all blurry. Then when I was fooling around with it more, kind of calmed down, you could see them, and they would, they kind of calmed down, you can see them. They weren't blurry anymore. So I said, all right, then I'm thinking this doesn't look too heavy duty, and being mounted on the 9mm may be an issue, because what it does is it has like these hex nuts you tighten by hand or stick a rod through and crank them down. And I'm looking at them and I go, you know what, this may not be a good idea. And then there's the problem with the jawbone, and we'll cut into that, or where you got to mount this, because the way this thing, you actuate it, the sight could be in the way. So we'll take a look at that segment. So we got the battery installed and more or less mounted this on top of the firearm. And when I first put the battery in, the crosshairs and that was kind of blurry, but then after a bit it kind of calmed down a little. Yeah, now it's snapping in there. Alright, so you have a dot, you have a circle with a dot, you have a crosshair with a dot, and a heavy circle crosshair with a dot in the reticle, or the crosshairs. So this thing here isn't exactly high dollar. You have like little bolts that you turn finger tight, which on this 9mm pistol ain't gonna stay put. So probably a drop of Loctite on this would be advisable. And then we'll just go out there and see if this thing can handle the shock of a 9mm pistol. Gotta remember, it's going to be pretty violent, blowback, violent action. But we'll see. We'll see if we can get it sighted in. We'll see if it holds up, just don't break to pieces after a few rounds. So after I got it on there and was thinking of Loctite, and I'm sitting down and I'm looking at this, and this is where I noticed something really odd about these bolts. on the bottom of this sight here, how it lines up. And looking at it, holding it straight, you see the one's higher than the other. Okay, this is low, the front one's high. So when I go and turn it over and look at it, and looking down in there, you see where one of them, this one here that's lower, broke through, and this will lock into the notches on top of, into the pick rail, where this one is floating above it. So what's going to happen if I put this on that 9mm pistol? This would shear off and break, probably after a very few shots. So this whole thing is cockeyed, shoddy piece of crap. And you're saying, oh, well, send it back, complain, this and that. Well, Cobra always has a backup plan. You remember our last year's Thanksgiving special $90 .22 rifle? Well, this appears to be a new home for this. I think the 22 can handle the recoil, and I'm going to mount this on there, and probably I'm going to leave it on the 22, and I don't believe the recoil in that's enough to jar that off. Once that clamps down with the one bolt, that should be more than sufficient to hold that steady. And if this holds up and works, and the battery in that, then it should be perfect for this rifle. And there we go on our gun. Mounted up far enough. This is nylon, so you want to get it tight, but still a couple drops of Loctite on there once you get it in. And we got plenty of room to where we can operate the rifle without it interfering with the sight. And now our piece of crap scope has a new home and should work fine in its new role. But back to the drawing board for Cobra to get something to go on the jawbone. Okay, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.